Those who have signed up in advance will have the opportunity to speak this evening. When you speak, please introduce yourself and describe your connection to Nyos. At this time, we have 7 guests signed up to speak. Jackie, do you have any others? Okay, thank you. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Lisa will be acting as timekeeper, and she has a couple signs, 1 minute, and then a stop sign. 1, 2, 3. Okay, our first speaker I have signed up is Dexter. Is Dexter here? Okay. Next I have Sandeep Kalbergi. Sandeep, okay. Alexandra DeCoste. Okay, Austin Erickson. Austin?
Test.
Hello, do I just start whenever? Okay. Hello, my name is Austin Erickson, and today I would like to address the plans of replication and relocation, specifically because it affects me and a lot of other people, specifically with me. This new theater space, I'm a part of the theater community, and a lot of time and money, it will probably go to waste if we relocate or replicate and move those high school students who use this space over to a new campus. That's what I've heard. I see a lot of people that helped build this, and it costs a lot of money. So that's what I want to get into today. My first point is that parents might not be able to take kids to a new campus. They might be too far away. A big part of this school is accessibility. All the grades are here, and if they have, like, for replication, higher grade and lower grade students, they're going to have to take one kids to one campus and one kid or other kids to another campus, and that could just be not great for the parents, and they might just decide to pull their kids out, and that's probably not that great for the school. Another thing is that teachers might not be able to go to a new campus. Again, their deal was, we go here. There's been track record of teachers leaving because they lived too far away. I know a few. Another reason for teachers is that some teachers teach both the lower middle school grades and also the high school grades. Having replication, having just the high school move, that means you're going to have to get new teachers for the middle school or high school, depending on who you move, and that is not an easy thing to do. It took over a month to get a new biology teacher, so that doesn't really seem viable to me either. And also, just having a new campus or having multiple campuses costs a lot of money. I think the proper thing to do, since we already spent a lot of money on this campus recently, and we've kind of doubled down on this, we should continue to spend money on this campus and instead of moving to a new one, because it would be easier. Thank you for letting me speak today. Have a good day.
Thank you, Austin. Okay, our next speaker is Lisa Soyster, and I kindly ask that you don't get on the stage.
Hi, I am a parent to kinder, 4th, and 7th grader. As you move forward with your growth plan, I would like you to consider walking it back slightly for future students, as I discussed in my email. Today, I would like to highlight how important it would be for reclaiming our culture and reputation. Parents, students, and staff have pleaded with you for years to not lose sight of what made Nyos one of the most highly sought after charters around. We are told things that worked before the expansion don't work now, but the truth is Nyos does not exist now. Look at our reviews on Great School. 5 stars went to 1 or 2 after the expansion. Nyos was special because it was a small family. We had long-term teachers who knew all of our kids. They watched them grow up and graduate with pride. Some teachers spoke at our board meeting saying that the new space was just too much chaos and they couldn't handle it. Parents and teachers worry about the safety due to the amount of students we have on our campus, and we have not even reached our full projected numbers. Our classrooms are a fraction of TEA standards for regular public schools. We barely operate under what is allowed via fire code, and I have seen several times that we were in obvious violation. I would be happy to provide you with the data. Even if we can't modify this building, less bodies and more space would be beneficial. Regardless, moving forward, please do so with the goal of bringing our campus back together, as secondary and involvement with elementary is another Nyos hallmark. Please think about the what makes Nyos not ordinary presentation. Remember the story about the kid who froze on stage and instead of booing, everybody cheered, and how they don't see that happening now. Remember the student who talked about how all of their lessons were linked to cross subjects, teachers, and the mini study trips, which no longer happens. Remember the students who spoke at the last meeting. Remember their tears because they were scared for their safety in our parking lot. Remember the student who told you that if you were to ask any senior where Nyos would be in 5 years, that they would say closed. Go back to what worked. Go back to what made us not ordinary. I fully believe that if you move forward with the current planned population and try to maintain it, Nyos will close. And if you walk us back a bit and embrace our culture, you may have a school worthy of replication in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Next, I have Naomi Taylor. Okay. Elizabeth Zimmerman. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Zimmerman. I'm a parent of a 4th and 9th grader. Tonight, I'm speaking as both a mother. Oh, God. It's going to take my time. I'm sorry. And someone deeply concerned about the message that a new law sends. SB 12, set to take effect on September 1st, will ban QSU, GSAs, and other identity-based clubs that have given students a safe space, community, and support. It also limits how educators can recognize students' identities. This new law means that clubs like the Queer Student Union, Black Student Union, Latinx Club, and others will most likely disappear from our schools. My son, Utah, is the new secretary for the QSU. He was so excited to step into that role this year. These clubs help him tremendously and so many other students to feel seen, accepted, safe, and loved. He couldn't be here tonight to speak for himself. He had a prior commitment, but I know he would love to tell you how much this club means to him and how scared he is right now to lose it, especially since 5 of his 6 best friends have left Nyos to attend bigger high schools. Now, I know you can't change the law, and I'm not asking you to, but what I am asking you to is to please stay aware, really aware, of what this new law is doing to our school culture, how it's affecting our student morale, and the harm it causes when safe spaces do disappear. I want to ask you to actively advocate for your students by using the connections and resources you may have. Please contact our state representatives, reach out to the National Alliance for Public Charter Schools, and speak up for the students you serve. I'd also really love to see advocacy included in the Nyos notes every week. Share how parents can contact their reps, who their reps are, include phone numbers, make it easy for families to take action. Other schools do this, and it works really well, and it really helps. Our kids will remember whether their school stood up for them when it really mattered. Please keep listening, keep supporting, keep finding ways to show our students that you'll take every opportunity to show them they still belong here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I have Saul.
Hello, my name is Saul, and I am a senior here at high school. I'm here to talk about the senior parking situation here. And although to my knowledge, the school board is not responsible for deciding where senior parking is and where students are allowed to park, I figured this would be a good place to have my complaints heard and taken to whomever is responsible for that. To be frank, the current senior parking is cramped and dangerous. To my knowledge, as far as I'm aware, there have been, I think, 4 fender benders in the past just 2 or 3 weeks, which I think is more than enough proof that the senior parking just isn't working. It's dangerous. It's cramped. Larger trucks and cars, their back ends are sticking out of the parking spot. They don't fit. They're only really suited for compact cars, and even compact cars are still struggling to get into those parking spots, especially since these cars that are trying to park are competing with the car line. In between B and C is where most students are dropped off in the morning. It's where I and my brothers are dropped off, and so it's just a very dangerous place to be parking in. There's a lot of kids crossing. It's very tight. It's not suitable, and it's got me scared as a new driver. I got my license a little less than a week ago, and I'm going to be driving myself to school soon, and it scares me and it stresses me out to think about all the stress that I'm gonna have to go through trying to park in those spots, because like I said, we have car line. I can't swerve out and then go in. I'm scared I might hit a kid, might bump a car, cause another fender bender, and it causes a lot of stress to me as a new driver, many other new drivers, which is a majority of the students of our seniors. A majority have only been driving for a year. Some still haven't gotten their licenses and are still in the process of doing so. And this is why I think that senior parking should be moved back to the front of A building, because it's less cramped, there's more space, and there's not as much competition between people who are trying to park and people in the car line trying to drop their kids off. There are still some people dropping their kids off on that side of campus, but it's not as much as between, say, B and C or the front of elementary. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next, I have Honoria.
Can I start now? Yes. Okay. All right. Hello, board. Today I will be speaking on various topics, but just a quick starter. My name is Anara Obioma. I'm a senior here and the officer of many clubs here at Nyos Charter School. I first want to express my gratitude for what you guys kind of did with the dress code about having a drive, so that way students who may not be able to afford the suitable clothes for dress code can somehow receive clothes. I do still feel that dress code should include club shirts and stuff just to be more inclusive, but I just want to say thank you for that. Second off, I want to speak about Nyos' culture and the growth and replication, what's going on with that. I will say it just straight up, Nyos is truly losing its culture. I feel like it especially happened after Coach Bliss decided to stop working here at Nyos. That caused a huge shift in what we are here, and I feel that the growth and replication that is trying to occur right now is not only is just gonna continue to kind of destroy ourselves as what Nyos is and what it's always represented. It's always been just a small, tight community that has been for everyone. But because of the growth and trying to, fit new classes, I know I struggle a lot with, more people in the halls. It's harder to get to classes because there's no more really passing period anymore. And also like English 3 or English teachers and other teachers core classes, having to have new teachers, like 2 for each core class, is a big problem because you have to hire people. And in my professional opinion, I just feel like some people are not exactly suited for the role that they serve here at Nyos, and it can be a big issue for people wanting to take certain classes because they don't feel like they're getting what they need. So that's just my issue with the growth and replication. I feel like there's a time and there's a place to do it, and I know there's certain places you guys have considered for the growth and replication, and the thing is that there's a certain demographic, it looks a certain way in the areas that you guys have been considering, and so I just want to, speak my public view on that. But again, I would just consider saving that probably for a later time, or just, I don't know how it looks like here, but just please be wary. Remember what Nyos is. Go back, look at old posts, look at what Nyos has been and what it's been for me, starting here at second as a senior now. And the third thing I will talk about is just the driving here at Nyos. I drive high schoolers and I drive my siblings who are in elementary. It's easier for me to park in middle school. Why? Because I can drop them off sooner, and then also I can get away, leave school at an earlier time. And it's just an issue that, I have to park at B now, and it's a huge issue. Yeah. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to new business. Item A is discuss and vote on a resolution to modify check signer list for Frost Bank. Dr. Rosas?
Yes, we have a resolution to make a change to the check signer list. We will remove Julie Ashley, who was the chief of schools, Lauren Benoit, who was the secondary principal, and we will make the addition of Rory Edwards, our new secondary principal.
Any questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution to modify the check signer list for Frost Bank. Jess, do I have a second?
Second.
Ben? Okay, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 5B is to discuss and vote pursuant to Texas Government Code 552.0031F to allow Nyos to designate 10 non-business days for the purposes of the Texas Public Information Act.
So yes, according to the law, any school days that we wouldn't be here working, we need to add those so that they would not be included in the count for the 10 days to be in compliance with Public Information Act.
Questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to allow Nyos to designate the 10 non-business days for purposes of the Texas Public Information Act.
I make the motion.
Thank you. Richard, do I have a second? Just, okay, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you all. Okay, we are on to item C, and that's a report from the Growth and Replication Steering Committee meeting. Let me,
Are new. I think that they.
but let's see if they signed up. Do you have, what's your names? Okay, yes, Naomi.
Sorry, I just got here a little late. Hi, my name is Naomi Taylor. I talked during the last meeting about uniform, and I will continue to speak up until I see change. That is what this community raised me to do. I've been attending Nyos since 2013 and have cherished it as a second home. However, the school I once loved is now unrecognizable. While it's true that the uniform itself hasn't changed much, the enforcement of it has, drastically. On my first day of senior year, the very first words spoken to me on this campus were from Dr. Rosas, telling me that my colorful hair was out of dress code and would need to be changed by tomorrow. At first, I thought it was a joke. It was so unlike Nyos. Not only was this a lie, but Dr. Rosas claimed in an email to parents that personal apologies were made to those students. This was yet another lie. Neither I or my friend had heard another word from her. I strongly encourage consideration of this uniform policy and Dr. Rose's involvement. The expansion, uniforms, and new policies all seem like Nyos is trying to become like IDEA. This is not why parents and students choose Nyos. We want something unordinary, not a copycat. The uniform may be equal, but is anything but equitable. Different students have different access to uniform clothing, and buying a whole wardrobe to fit your standards is completely out of the budget for many, especially with Nyos priding itself on inclusivity. The uniform hasn't been enforced since I was in elementary, so why would parents suddenly expect to have to spend hundreds on new clothes? It can also prevent students from wearing what they are comfortable in, which can be detrimental to learning, especially for neurodivergent students. I love that Nyos is such a wonderful, diverse community, for years we've celebrated this diversity, but now you expect everyone to fit into the same box. Part of why I loved this school is because I felt free to be myself. I love learning, and I'm so disappointed that my final year I've had to leave my identity at home. I've never been able to be comfortable with myself in stuffy shades of gray and navy, and it's having a negative impact on my learning. Wearing colorful outfits doesn't affect anyone else. It's not distracting or unsafe. It just makes me feel like me. So please, I ask members of the school board, listen to your students, care about what they say, and make a change. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that signed up that came in late? Okay, we'll move on to item 5C, which is the report from Growth and Replication Steering Committee.
Hello, my name is Jason Copy, parent of two Nyos elementary students.
And I am Kristen Tan, a parent of a third grader and hopefully an incoming kindergartner next year. Hint, hint. But no, nothing to do there. We are members of the Growth and Replication Steering Committee. We're at a pivotal point in planning Nyos' future. By the 2026-27 school year, we won't have enough space on campus for all of our 9th through 12th graders. Then by 27-28, the expansion will be fully realized at every grade level, making the space challenge even more urgent. This committee, made up of Nyos staff and parents, was formed back in June as a direct response to the 2020 campus expansion and the space challenges it created. We have met 3 times so far, June 11th and 30th and August 7th, all focused on how to tackle the growth challenge. The first 2 meetings were mainly high-level overviews, which made it challenging to make well-informed recommendations. But at our most recent meeting, we were provided more details, including costs, timelines, and maps, but still lacked some information on how options would be financed. Our role remains to review the data we're given, consider solutions, and bring thoughtful recommendations to the board. Next page. So, with that background, let's talk about the choices we've been asked to weigh. At our last 2 meetings, June 30th and August 7th, we were presented with 2 main paths. 1, keep all students on the current campus, and 2, move a subset of the students and staff to a nearby site. At our most recent meeting, the vote was evenly split, but even without a clear consensus, we found a lot of shared concerns and recommendations for the board, Dr. Rosas, and her team to consider. If we stay on the current campus, number 1, we would like to prioritize specials and short and long-term space planning. Programs like PE, Spanish, art, theater, SEL, so many, are not nice-to-haves. They are a vital part of a well-rounded education. They deserve dedicated, consistent spaces that are large enough to maintain high quality and keep students safe. And while it may seem simple on paper to have specials float, in reality, this disrupts learning, creates confusion for teachers and students, and lowers morale for the staff who support our entire student population. Oh, look, there it is. Number 2, campus logistics and compliance. Please consider parking, traffic, and building code constraints in any reconfiguration plan. Limited space and parking already make it tough to host community events for all families, a key part of Nyos' identity. If we grow without addressing this, it's only going to get harder.
Okay, on to that second option. If we move some students off-site, number 1, the facilities for specials. Our newly renovated Performing Arts Center on Lamar is mainly used for secondary performances. And if high school moves, we risk this beautiful space being underutilized, which would be a loss for both the investment we just made and the student opportunities it supports. Also, new campuses may not have indoor gymnasiums or theaters, so these are stuff to consider. The transportation impact. Families and staff with students at multiple campuses will need a real plan to make drop-off and pick-up workable. Without it, we risk making daily life a lot harder for folks. Possible solutions include shuttles between campuses or staggered schedules. Community cohesion. Splitting campuses risks lowering morale and engagement. We need to be intentional about keeping everyone connected. Budget and leases. Any new site comes with additional debt and potentially unattainable fundraising goals. We need to make sure these costs truly make sense compared to the benefits before we commit. A short lease means the building's owners could sell it just after 3 years, leaving Nyos in a precarious situation, especially if we've invested tens of thousands to millions in renovations. For either option, we recommend that we protect what makes Nyos Nyos. We need to keep our core values front and center and make sure our strong sense of community and staff engagement doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Happy, engaged teachers are essential to keeping Nyos the great school that it is. Number 2, find better ways to gather input. Let's collect feedback in ways that are meaningful and measurable. When we do ask for input, share survey results so people can see how their voices are shaping decisions. Keep communication open and clear. Maintain transparency with regular updates and open Q&A sessions, showing clearly how the community suggestions are influencing the process. Boost engagement by posting in Nyos Notes and the Nyos app, and potentially sending dedicated growth-related emails to the whole school so everyone knows how and when to participate. Consider in those communications recognizing how challenging and painful any of these options will be when we communicate more broadly. Have a plan B. If construction or lease negotiations take longer than expected, we need backup plans ready so families and staff aren't caught off guard. There's also an additional option the committee believe is under-researched. We recommend studying whether Nyos can achieve a sustainable budget without growing enrollment at the rapid pace that we are today. What if, instead of expanding and then scrambling to create space, we let natural attrition reduce class sizes over time? We would not backfill seats when students leave. To be clear, this is not about removing currently enrolled students. But over time, smaller cohorts, for example, 6 classes instead of 8 in elementary, could ease our space, parking, and traffic challenges. Before investing in temporary classrooms or signing a risky lease, review whether this approach could offset costs over time. We urge the board and administration to explore whether this could balance the budget and reduce risk while protecting our community feel. And if this analysis happens, we'd like those results to be shared with the committee and the community. A wise Nyos staff member recently told me that authentic relationships within our small but growing community are what make our school special. I fully agree. The work ahead will be challenging, but if we keep those relationships and our core values at the center, Nyos can navigate this growth with strength and unity. That's it for now. I believe we have time for questions.
Any questions from the board?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
First, I want to thank both of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to put some effort towards the school. A lot of people do it, but you guys are going above and beyond, and I really appreciate that. And leading, being leaders when it came to the steering committee, I really appreciate that. I just wanted to ask if you had any more feedback that you've gathered from the steering committees about what to do with the pressure that's happening to the school right now, right? So we know that we're going to have some more students, even with the stay here plan. And how has the steering committee gotten a good sense of what to do about that pressure, and in particular, cafeteria and parking, right? So a lot of other pressure spots too, but in those two spaces, we're not gonna be able to make things easier around here when we absorb the growth. And so I really appreciate the feedback in the document, but I wanted to know if you've gotten a sense or some ideas. I've been to some of the meetings, but not all of them.
Yeah, on parking and traffic, I think the general sense is it's a tense situation right now, and adding more students is going to make it harder, but we don't have solutions. I spoke at the last board meeting, and so we're aware of some negotiations that are underway for more parking, and I think we're all just waiting to see what happens with that. Did we talk about cafeteria? I mean, any more than just the concept of kind of, I don't think we really talked about it. Yeah. We're SOL.
That's it.
We didn't really get into it.
When we walked the space, so in the last steering committee meeting, I forgot his name. Paul, thank you. Paul, I only have elementary students, so I'm not familiar with the secondary campus, and Paul kindly walked us around to help us get a sense of that and how, with the growth for staying on campus, what that could potentially look like. I know there was a lot of concerns about specials and things like that, which is something we addressed, but I think we're thinking about things, to your point, about that affect all students, not just like a targeted group. So that's why we talked about specials. Cafeteria would be another one that would fall under that. We just haven't talked about it explicitly, but I think that's another concern. So, no.
Can you hear me? Oh, yep, now you can. Thank you. Just wanted to echo what Ben said, and this was really clearly laid out and really helpful context and feedback. On the natural attrition option, I just wanted to clarify, are you all suggesting, I know you're not like advocating for that, but are you suggesting that the natural attrition would occur at like the pre-K and kindergarten levels and up?
We have like anecdotal conversations that certain grades in this most recent new academic year starting saw like 17 kids in the previous year that dropped. And so we were wondering if there was more of that kind of attrition at the end of the year or throughout the year. I know that we have a long wait list, which shows some of the strengths of the school, and that when people leave, we backfill them from the wait list.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the attrition that we're referring to.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I think, and the only other question I have, and you had several really good suggestions around like ongoing communication and engagement with the community. Do you feel like it's clear, at least to the steering committee members, that this is not an optional problem that we have, that like this is something that has to be solved for? This isn't growth that we're opting into. That feels clear.
Not entirely.
Okay, can you say more?
Yeah, I mean that's why we wanted more research, because some of the committee members have been asking, essentially why do we need to grow? And what we know so far, what we've heard so far, is that we need to have a sustainable budget. But that's kind of the depth that we've gotten, and so we don't know we don't know why we need to grow more than that.
May I like take a stab at this, and then you all clean up what after I say this thing. Right now, we have committed to our families that they will have a spot up through 12th grade. Mm-hmm. We do not have space after this year. Right. So if we're going to fulfill that commitment, we have to come up with more space for those 2 grades. So this isn't adding more students, it's fulfilling a commitment to our existing students that they'll have a spot up through high school. So this is not growth and expansion in the sense that we are adding on more classrooms. We're fulfilling a commitment to the students who are already here. Anything you'd change about that?
I think that's fair.
And to that point, I think the natural attrition would address that. So let's say, we know we're filled up through 10th grade right now. Next year will be 11th and then 12th, right? So if, let's say, and I know we don't necessarily know all the data and the numbers because we're just projecting right now, right? Because once students start high school, they generally stay through the whole thing. So it's less likely for them to churn in like 11th grade. But let's say, since we're working in hypotheticals, that we lose 20 students in 10th grade next year, right? So then it's 20 students less for the 11th that we thought we were going to have to fill to the expected quantity, right? And so if that happens at the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade levels, then do we have to backfill all of those, and that takes the total number down versus just the high school? Did I capture that? Okay. Yeah.
I think that math is right. I mean, like, that makes sense in the way of, like, eventually you could get to fewer students. Fewer students also means less money.
Correct.
And so that is the other thing that we just have to be able, like, it's right, playing with the hypothetical and projections around if we lose 100 students a year for the next 5 years, what does that mean?
And then to that point, that's a really great, because yes, there's dollar amounts associated with that, but then there are dollar amounts associated with doing this other
100%.
So what is
and teachers and staff.
Yeah, and so it's what is my team makes funny. I talk with my hands.
Yeah.
There's A,
Yeah.
right? There's the bucket of A for we continue to grow, and then we have to build temporary structures. We have to do these things. We have to dedicate, and I would say time, right? Dr. Rosas' time is going to go toward, and Kurt, so many people are going to have to dedicate time into figuring out how we're going to do these things. That time is money, not just the butts and seats that are $12,000, person. And then there is now we're going to have to go build something, renovate it,
Yes.
all this. So there's a cost analysis benefit.
Yes.
These are all words that I hear that would be helpful.
Yes.
So I don't know how, I'm sorry, I'm not doing, but I hope that concept is clear.
It is,
Yeah.
and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
As an elementary rep, I do have some concerns with the idea of like older grades not, we've hired teachers. That feels concerning that last minute we would not have classrooms or students for them. Can we have maybe someone pull numbers on the number of students, like historically, like over the last 4 years, that have left in 11th and 12th grade? I feel like that would be helpful for us to see.
That last little piece is really important here, Sarah, because you want the number of students that left in 11th and 12th grade. And while the attrition idea has merits, and we have colleagues on this board that are really interested in that, it's the unpredictability and the lack of knowing when and where it's going to happen that doesn't help with a management plan for the secondary school. And if we reduce first grade, we have to wait 4 or 5 more years before we can feel those effects, which that's not enough time for the kids that we have promised a seat in secondary right now. And that's why the attrition model makes me pretty nervous, because it's too hard to put it in line. The other piece is, I feel really confident in my colleagues' work on this board that Nyos is going to be a high-performing school, continue to be a high-performing school, which means our attrition may not continue the way it has. We might have had some bumpy roads during the transition to a new campus, and during COVID, but it could lessen, which would up in that plan as well. And it's not that it's not something that could be factored in, but it does give me the heebie-jeebies a little bit because it's too unpredictable.
Yeah, the committee recognized that as well. And absent this kind of analysis of the different parts of the budget, that this is the stance that we're coming from. And so we also wonder if it could be part of the package of options, not one or the other.
I think that first I want to appreciate, good evening, members of the board and the community. I want to appreciate the committee. You guys have worked very hard and come at it with such integrity, and I really appreciate and a lot of you are in the audience, all of your work, as well as your presentation and recommendations tonight. To your question, comment, Ms. Tan, I love that we're not ordinary, so I'm going to say that in advance before I say in a traditional campus, not saying that I want to go there, but when you're looking at budgeting and planning for a traditional, whether it's a charter or traditional ISD, you'll typically see classroom sizes of 22 to 24. Why is that? Because in reality, and this is rough math, but 20 students virtually pays for the teacher, their salary. And so in elementary here at Nyos, we have a commitment of 18 to 1, and in secondary, 20 to 1. And so when you have some attrition, I think that attrition has come up several times, and I would imagine, I can't speak for the board, but that will be looked at and examined when we next have a session for them to examine it. However, I think that's one of the points that with the unpredictability and the impact to the overall, and that's just thinking about basic staffing. Then that's not talking about PE, music, art, and all of the other rich programming that we really like to offer. And that kind of goes to what Jessica was saying, is that if we were to examine that, you can't predict what the attrition would look like, because it's a little bit like if you have a string on a sweater and you start pulling and then it unravels, because parents sometimes have children, even tonight, I have a kindergartner, a second grader, a ninth grader, and if the parent decides to unenroll, they don't unenroll one child. And so I think that if we were to look at that kind of approach, you'd have to approach it very carefully. So I just wanted to share that information about staffing, because we have a commitment to small class size, we have very narrow margins.
What was the level of interest in the attrition model? I know, so there was an even split on stay on campus, move part of the
Yeah, it wasn't
school
part
off.
of the survey, so we don't have like a formal data, but everybody at the last meeting, which was 14 people, were pretty engaged in that conversation and advocated for us to represent it to the board.
Okay, okay. And again, that's about us being able to figure out the math because we don't know what the distribution will be of attrition across all the grades. So we think about that a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, and about the point that we would have to wait a couple years for the attrition to matriculate. I mean, but if we lose a class per grade, you get that instantly. Like, I don't have to wait for the first graders to get to high school to realize that attrition. That, and I the numbers may not work, but I'm just saying, like, you know, if there are 8 classes and all of a sudden there's 7 per, then all of a sudden that frees up a room per grade, and then we realize it faster than necessarily waiting for it to get to the high school level, if we're just thinking about pure space. So just a thought. But I also know that we get to make recommendations, and this is just me speaking for me. I'm not representing the committee now. We get to make recommendations, and then y'all get the hard job of being held accountable to what those decisions are. So I do not envy y'all, because there is no perfect solution. And anybody listening to this here or online, nobody's going to be happy with whatever we come up with. There will be people that will be unhappy. So give grace to the board and the decisions and the weight of this decision that has been given to them. And we, the committee, now I'm going to talk for the committee. I think we will all be very happy to support y'all in discussing any points that y'all want us to do very specifically. And I know that Jason has been wonderful and Steph too, to ask for some specific information and data since we met on August 7th. So I think the next steering committee meeting we have will be even more productive.
Okay. Thank you, Kristen.
Thanks, y'all.
We support you too, so. Really good work. Thank you for your honest perspectives on them. Okay, moving on to our superintendent update.
Good evening again. So just a reminder that for our Nyos Fund, we are currently promoting our school board fundraiser. We have a couple more weeks left, but these are for the Make Your Mark t-shirts. We've had quite a few orders, and we want to encourage everyone not only to order your t-shirts, but tell your friends and other folks who might be interested. And as a reminder, the funds in the Nyos Fund go to support elementary and secondary needs that are identified by the community and by the leadership. So I like to always start the superintendent's update talking a little bit about our culture. We had some first weeks of school happenings. I'm highlighting Ms. Manuel's first grade class. They were the recipient of the JIG Award. And Ms. Manuel's students have shown exceptional care for one another. They're joyful, they have tons of energy, and a strong start to the school year. Their classroom community truly exemplifies what it means to make your mark. Way to go, Jaguars, and keep leading the way. Make Your Mark artwork, say that 3 times fast, was created by our elementary students, and we also have a beautiful new mural at the front of our elementary building. Secondary beginnings of the school happenings. We had a pizza with the principal community meeting on July 30th at 5:30 with Ms. Edwards. And then also highlighting students in classes, including Mr. Schmees and Mr. Montoya. I want to highlight a few of our upcoming activities. We have a new event called Goodbye Summer Parent Information Event. This is an opportunity, and I hope that the board and also members of the community here tonight will really promote this evening event, because I think all of us as parents have had a question about something and we don't even know who to contact. Or we're working and by the time we think of it, it's 7 o'clock at night or whatever the thing is. We're going to, all of the campus leaders and the district staff will be together in the gym. We're going to wear our very best summer gear, have some fun music, and it's an opportunity for you to stop in and ask those questions. We'll be able to guide you to the appropriate person. This is in conjunction with elementary. That night has an event where students are presenting their information. And so we'll be there from 1:30 to 6. If you're in secondary, you could come anytime between 1:30 and 6. For elementary students, once you're finished going and listening to your student's presentation, then you could come and visit us, probably most likely between 5 and 6, but whenever. We'll be there the whole time. We would love to see you there. On September 11th, we're going to have a Performing Arts Center ribbon cutting. We encourage you all to attend. That'll be phenomenal. We have the SpongeBob play on September 11th as well. I'm looking forward to getting my tickets. I hear that we may have the seats numbered so you can select what seat you want to sit in because everybody cares about where they're sitting. So be looking for that. On September 12th, we have Nyos Bingo Night. We're very excited for that event. We would encourage you to bring your friends, bring people, and have so much fun. I was at an event in New Braunfels last night, and somebody was saying how much they love bingo, and I was like, do you want to come to Austin and play bingo? So I'm promoting it, and I would encourage you as well. On the 18th, you can see we have our fall open house. And then on the most exciting thing, on September 22nd through October 2nd is our fall break, and I know our families and our students love that. So I wanted to highlight for academics, on August the 8th, we held our first administrative data day. That's a day that typically all staff get to, sorry, I'm failing at clicking and talking and looking at my paper. That's a day that typically all of our staff get to leave campus and have some time to themselves as part of self-care, but our administrative team agreed to switch it out for another day, and we spent quite a bit of time where each administrator, each principal and assistant principal shared the data about the teachers that they support. There were many brilliant minds that reviewed our student data and discussed how we'll best support our students and their teachers, and it was an awesome day. We want to celebrate and recognize some of our new staff members. Trey Huff, some of you may recognize Trey. He's a Nyos alumni. He's joining us as a facilities assistant. I get to see him every day as he's walking through and doing repairs and doing work. We have Jess Rather, who is our 504 and district testing coordinator. We're so excited to have her join us. And then Norma, yes. And then Norma Hinojos, who's our EB, our Emergent Bilingual Coordinator. We're very excited to have her join us. And she is, in the past, we had a part-time position, and we were able to add a full-time position to support our students who are acquiring English. So this is our staffing report. We actually have 10 open positions instead of the 13 that you see because we offered 3 positions today. Our recruiting team has worked very, very hard. For example, they have screened 396 candidates. They have hired 57 of those, which includes guest teaching, and they have 45 candidates in process, which means all the steps that goes into looking into potential members of our staff. We have denied 294 candidates due to not meeting requirements, or they were offered and rejected. That's sometimes, and then other reasons as well. Moving on to our students, we always talk about our enrollment. You can see enrollment in 24-25. We had 925 elementary students and 838 secondary students with a total of 1,763. Our budgeted goal was 1,754, so we met and pretty much kept at our budgeted goal all year. For the school year 25-26, our enrollment is elementary 930, secondary 903, and so that jump you see is now having 10th grade, ninth graders moving up to 10th and a new ninth grade of the expanded group, making a total of 1,833. Our current budgeted goal is 1,876. So you'll likely see in September an amendment to the budget, which is not uncommon as you settle in and you see what your actual enrollment is going to be. So further to talk about enrollment, I brought some new information that we have looking at and comparing our school year 24-25 to 25-26, so that's last year to this year, and then the year prior, comparing 23-24 to 24-25. And we consider anything above 20% to be below to be significant, so you can see there are some areas that are significant as we look at this year. If we first start with the green side, for last year in 8th grade, in May 24th of 2024, we had 18 students who did not return, which is 88.75, and that was the only significant number that year. And looking at this year, I just want to point out also, it's like a little bit like the waves of the ocean. You may have years where you have more variance and years that you have less variance. We have in pre-K3, 5 students who did not return. And then, so those pre-K3 would be now on the blue side. When you look at pre-K3, those are now pre-K4 students, if that makes sense. And then if you look at the 4th grade students, they would now be 5th graders. And so if you're looking at 5th grade, they are now 6th graders. So you see that gap between middle school and elementary and middle school. And so we know we have parents who sometimes make another choice, or the student makes the choice. And then we can see in the 8th grade row, students who are now 9th grade, a significant change as we see that gap between students and families making decisions about where they want to be. We track this very closely. We have not in the past, like 3 years ago, but we do track it very closely. I want to appreciate James Douglas for him and his team and the work that they do. We look at this very closely, and we also do exit surveys for every single parent to see why it is they're making that choice, so we can make sure we're informed. I reviewed all the current just the other day, and a lot of it was moving or not being happy with the programming choice, either too difficult, too easy. You saw both ends, and then just wanting to make a choice in general. So briefly, want to talk about fundraising again. James Douglas and the team in development have done such a great job and worked very closely with our fundraising and development team to create a plan for us. You can see our progress bar, we're 4.50%, and you can see how fundraising is broken out and how we're going to reach our goal for this year. Our goal is $500,000 for the year. Last year, our goal was $250,000, and I've said before, I think even in these meetings, I remember at the beginning of the year thinking, I don't think we're going to make it, and we really did, and it was fantastic. And so this year, as part of the strategic plan, it grows every year until we get to our goal of $750,000 in year 3, which will be next year. And so James and the team have spent a lot of time, so you can see how it's broken out. Foundations, earned revenue, corporate giving, events, board giving, staff giving, parent giving, and major gifts. And we will be highlighting and talking more about this at each board meeting. And I believe that is it for me. I do want to mention before we move on 2 topics, food and traffic and parking, that are not on my agenda. We have engaged with a partner to be an outside set of eyes that come in to examine. There's the right now solutions we need and the long-term solutions. And so to examine and look at food service of all grade levels, to look and see if there's anything we can do right now, because we know the timing is very tight for kids and we want them to have hot and delicious food. We have hot and delicious food here, and we want them to get it quickly so they can eat and then also have some time to play with their friends. So we'll be doing that as an update. And then for traffic, I know I did secondary duty for the first 2 weeks, and there were no accidents. So we will continue. I know Ms. Edwards is working very hard. We'll continue to look at seniors and looking at what we can do to improve the total flow overall, but then also how can we improve parking for our students as well. All right?
Okay, any questions for Dr. Rosa? Okay, we'll move on to committee business. First is FOC, our Financial Oversight Committee. Hassan?
So we met and we took a look at the preliminary numbers for last year, and it looks like our projected loss is much smaller than we had anticipated, but the numbers aren't finalized till the audit is done, so we will have final 24-25 numbers next board meeting, as well as likely a budget amendment for 25-26. And the only recommendation we have that we need a board vote is on not raising the threshold for contracts above $50,000, which is Nyos's current policy, even though the state now allows for $100,000. That's it.
Yeah. And to be clear, we don't need a board vote on that. Oh, we don't? Okay. Yeah, we're just going to keep it as is. Okay, next item is Governance Committee. And on the agenda is we're going to discuss and vote on the Superintendent Review Tool. So this is the responsibility of the Governance Committee, and this document that's in our board folder outlines our agreed upon processes, timelines, rating scale, and evaluation criteria that will help guide as we assess our superintendent's performance. So the intent is to ensure we have a clear, consistent, and transparent framework for setting expectations and measuring our outcomes. I hope you were all able to review the document. Are there any questions?
Were there any changes since we've reviewed, or?
There were a minor change in we had the 24-25 DIP goals on there. And so because some of them are the same, I put in parentheses for reference so that we can look at it, but it's clear that those are not our DIP goals.
Okay.
In the future, we want to make some criterion changes, but we felt like it was more important to get the tool out for use than to like get into
the weeds on. Okay. And sorry, I just want to clarify. So then we're saying that the DIP goals will be the goals? No. Okay. That hasn't happened.
Those were like used as a model to show how it would look, but she needed the tool so that she could
do some, set the goals. Okay, got it.
So this is the framework for the evaluation. The actual goals and specifics we'll come back with.
Goals at the next board meeting. And so I think last year we looked at the alignment. And so obviously if I had a goal that was completely unrelated to any of the criteria, then that would be a conversation, but they'll fit inside of those.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the superintendent review tool.
So motioned.
Okay, Hassan.
Second.
Ally, all in favor? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Next item on our agenda is executive session. So the school board will meet in executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074 to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear a complaint or charge against an officer or employee. We are going to executive session at 7:04.
Okay.
that's right for me. I'm not free, but who wants to be? You're everything that's right for me. I'll never run to someone new. I belong to you.
All the same.
I'm free, but who wants to be? You're everything that's right for me. I'll never run to someone new. I
Okay. The board has returned from executive session at 8:37 p.m. In accordance with our agenda, we have concluded our executive session, and as per SB 12, the board will be bringing a policy to outline the grievance and structured communication policy to ensure they are handled promptly and effectively at the September meeting. I do also want to take a moment to express the board's appreciation for the dedication of our superintendent, Dr. Rosas, and the work of her entire team. We also want to thank Dr. Rosas for the work she's done in filling the roles of 4 positions. We're fortunate to have a strong leadership guiding Nyos, and we look forward to continuing the work together to serve our students and advancing the goals of our strategic plan. Agenda items for next meeting, which is September 9th. On my list, I have HB 3 goals, policies, budget amendment, superintendent goals. Is there anything else that y'all can think of right now? No.
Final 24-25 numbers with 25-26 budget.
Okay.
And potentially, I don't know if we'll have an audit yet,
Oh, audit results, maybe?
I don't know that we'll have,
We'll have submitted.
I don't know that we'll have audit results, but we can give a progress report. And then
Okay.
final numbers for the year won't come until October.
Oh, okay.
But we can give an update to, they'll be more stable for sure in September.
Okay.
We can always strike it, it's just easier.
Yeah. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Hassan? Ally, all in favor? Okay. We adjourn at 8:39 p.m.